I see so many things going on with people trying to understand how to use supplementation. And supplementation is expensive. Good supplementation is expensive. So what we want to be able to do is we want to, I want to be able to create clarity so everybody can get benefits from supplementation, because it can be done right and it can be very beneficial. But at the same time, it's not being done right. So create some clarity. So a little bit about my background, and I'm just going to share my screen with you here today. This presentation, we should be able to get through it. And I didn't even review this really. I think it's probably about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So let's see if I can properly share my screen with everybody. So supplementation done right. So a little bit of a background about myself and who's speaking to you today, because I think it's very important, not only the content that you're going to learn here today, but also what my background is. And then you can determine if I have any biases. So I think with supplementation, I know it well because this is part of my world and what I do. I practice natural medicine, which is really the type of natural medicine that I practice is a blend of advanced diagnostic testing and advanced laboratory science. So that's the world that I'm in. And we use it every day and we see mistakes done. So that's my background, but my doctorate is in chiropractic, and I don't practice chiropractic anymore. I refer all that out. I don't have time for it. But my postgraduate certifications in education are in multiple fields of functional immunology, clinical nutrition, functional blood chemistry, endocrinology, all of that. So functional medicine is really a blend of advanced diagnostic testing with natural medicine. That's really what it is. So the cases that I see in my clinic, they're all very chronic cases. People dealing with things with at least health problems for at least over 6 months. But we see a lot of cases that there's been issues for 20, 30 years. So yeah. So what we'll discuss today to try to stay on track, because this is a massive topic. Starting off, I want to talk a little bit about philosophy and in my philosophy of supplementation. I don't want dependency. This is a big thing in my office. Our goal in our clinic is people not being dependent on us or any other doctors, and not just exchanging pharmaceuticals for a supplement. I think that's very important. There has to be a reason, and there's a way to do it. So when it's done right and when it's done wrong. I want to talk about health being the goal, not supplementation. I think the supplement industry the supplement model or nutritional model has been hijacked with the same mentality as pharmaceutical medicine, where there's a dependency and you're going to replace one for another. And that should never be the case. I want to talk a little bit about health independence and nutritional supplementation, which is kind of going on the same lines. The role of nutritional supplementation in health. A lot of people believe that supplementation can replace pharmaceuticals. That is not the case. But supplementation is powerful, very, very powerful. You just have to know really what expectations you should have from supplements and how to do it. I'm also going to get into supplementation strategies. And when I was putting together these slides, I was thinking to myself, is it even possible? I think some of it is. So there, of course, we can't go too deep into this, but I'll give some general rules that I personally use, which will be helpful. I'll talk both about foundational supplementation, and I'll also talk about advanced target supplementation. And this is where it gets kind of hairy, because you can go down all sorts of rabbit holes in this. But I'll talk a little bit about more targeted supplementation. And then I also want to talk about when supplementation does not work. I think this is so important, because there's reasons why it doesn't work. There's many reasons why it works. So our health is the goal, not supplementation. Okay. So this is a big thing. Supplementation is only one of many tools. And health, supplementation does not mean health ever. In fact, supplementation can cause problems, but it's only one of many tools. I have a phrase that I say multiple times a day. Lifestyle is number one and supplementation is number two. And if you're listening to this podcast or watching it or wherever you see it, or live, I guess right now, most people are watching this because they're trying to improve their health and not just trying to improve their, the consumption of supplementation. The goal is health. Supplementation is a tool. So lifestyle number one, supplementation number two. You can never supplement yourself out of a bad diet or a stressful life or anything like that. And your body's medicine, daily medicine, really starts when you open your eyes. It's the way you sleep. It's what you do in the morning. It's what you do in the middle of the day. It's what you interact with. So health is complicated, but it can be done right. So health independence and nutritional supplementation. I think we can use nutritional supplementation for health independence, but we don't want to become dependent on massive amounts of supplementation. And my goodness, there's so many people that come to my clinic, and they literally have shopping bags full of supplements that they come into the office with, trying to get some answers with them. And in the natural model, we're very quick to criticize massive amounts of pharmaceuticals consumption and not knowing what's doing what. Supplements can be powerful and they can cause problems. And if there's too many things going on and we don't have a reason for using them, they can even cause dependency. So supplement dependency and pharmaceutical dependency, they're both dependency, and true health should not revolve around dependency of anything. I think there's places for both. But we got to do our due diligence as providers, as myself, or even as patients or someone seeking help, to ask questions, not just take, or not just to take a supplement because someone read about it and said, oh, it's good for X, Y, and Z. There should be some real data or symptom relief when you're taking it. Supplementation, which I touched on a little bit, supplementation should have a purpose. The world of massive amounts of maintenance supplements, I don't think is important. I don't think it's sustainable. So every supplement in my clinic, every time I introduce something for someone, they're going to know why they're taking it. They're going to know what we're trying to achieve with it. They're going to know any potential side effects of it. And then naturally, there's got to be some kind of timeline, some kind of plan for it. So don't take supplements just to take them, because what happens is they accumulate in your shopping cart. If you're in a grocery store, there's more and more and more and more and more, and they're not cheap. The good ones are not cheap. Most supplementation should be used as a medicine for short term. Most, I should have highlighted that. There are some, and we'll talk more about maintenance supplementation and more targeted supplementation to get past the problem. So this philosophy I'm introducing our talk here today on supplementation, I think, is very important, because sometimes our minds shift. We are a consumption model in North America. Pharmaceuticals we take to fix ourselves, and some people believe we just take supplementation to fix ourselves. That's not the case. The role of nutritional supplementation in health, and this is what I'm getting into here. So what supplementation does not do, what it does not do, this is important. It doesn't replace pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals, they're very strong. There's a lot more risk. They should have a medicinal purpose. They should create a physiological response immediately. They're regulated differently. They actually are regulated to some extent, most. The FDA is involved, but they do not replace pharmaceuticals. So if someone is taking, a statin medication to get down their cholesterol, and I could rant on statins here for a while, I'm not a fan of them, but if they're taking them to replace pharmaceuticals, or taking a supplement that they think they're going to, I can just get rid of my, my statin medication. I'm just going to take this red yeast rice. Please, please, please be careful. It's not even going to come close to having the same effect as the statin. You're not going to have the side effects, but hopefully your medical doctor puts you on the pharmaceutical for a reason, and it has a valid reason, and they're weighing the pros and the cons. So pharmaceuticals in general have an average of 17 side effects, 17 adverse side effects associated with every pharmaceutical. So there's risks taking them, but the medical doctor's first rule, any doctor's first rule, is do no harm. Sometimes that line gets blurred, unfortunately, but there should be the measuring one versus the other. Okay, statins have a lot of risk, but it's less risk than whatever it is, heart attack or stroke or what have you. So first rule, supplements do not replace pharmaceuticals, but they do a few things, but they don't replace pharmaceuticals. And they do not replace poor lifestyle or diet. So I work with all sorts of people, and I work with some people that are less compliant than others, and to change your lifestyle. Remember, lifestyle is number one. Supplementation maybe is number two or number three. But a lot of people, if they're not as compliant as they should be, they're deviating away from the dietary routine that they should be following, or the stress management strategies, or the activity levels, or the sleep management strategies, or what have you. They're going to require more supplementation for a longer period of time to offset the negative lifestyle. Offsetting it doesn't come close to lifestyle, to healthy lifestyle, and you can't have a crappy diet and eat a bunch of supplements at the end of the day. That's just going to reverse it. It can buffer some of it, but it does not replace. It doesn't hold a candle in the wind to healthy lifestyle. It doesn't even compare with the health benefits, but they are powerful. But what it does do, enhancing organ system function. It does enhance organ systems. I see it all the time. And in my office, we're not just giving supplements to give supplements. We were following with labs. So every supplement has a purpose, a place, and we should see objective changes. We should see data change. We should see labs change with our efforts. So it has a purpose, and we can see organ system improvement. Okay. It will promote healing and the natural processes of healing of your body. It will speed things up. So without supplementation, proper supplementation, the healing process takes a lot longer. Supplementation can speed everything up significantly, which if in my clinic, when I'm working with people, if they're getting responses faster than what they did without supplementation, they get outcomes faster, they're more engaged, and they're going to continuously do the hard work to follow the lifestyle they need. So hopefully we can start peeling out some supplementation. So in my clinic, we'll use supplementation, we'll build it up, and then we get our medicinal benefits from it. And then we got to start coming down. We come down, we introduce it strategically and cautiously, and we start removing it strategically and cautiously. And hopefully we can get people on only a few things, more maintenance, supplementation, which I'll talk about. But that's the way supplementation, I believe, should be used. So there's not a massive dependency on these things. Most people that come into my office, they're on this much medication or supplementation, a massive amount of supplementation. By the time they're done and their health is improved, they should be on a fraction of it. They really, really should be. They should be less when they leave than when they came in, if it's done right. Now, supplementation does also reduce the progression of chronic illness. It does. So people can have a lot of autoimmune disorders, and we see a lot of autoimmunity and chronic illness, and it can reduce these inflammatory flares. It can reduce inflammation. It can do that. But again, combining it with lifestyle is where the magic happens. Okay. So now for some supplementation strategies as best as I can in the course of a webinar. First, foundational supplementation. Now, when I say foundational supplementation, I mean supplementation that has a reason and a purpose for pretty well everybody. Okay, there's not much. We should get the majority of our nutrients from the foods that we consume. But there's this one. This is probably the most important form of supplement you could ever consume. I put in brackets fish for a reason. Because as much as we, maybe the people who are trying to avoid any forces or sources of fish and keep everything vegan, it doesn't have the effect. Flaxseed oil and the omegas coming from that, or algae, it doesn't come close to to true fish omegas. So a couple of things about it. The healthiest cultures in the world, and if you ever want to really understand what you need to do for your health, study other cultures around the world and see what their history was. The indigenous cultures of North America, what we know now as North America, had the healthiest individuals some of the healthiest individuals on the planet. So when they look at the DNA of these individuals, of what their diet was, they consumed enough, deep saltwater fish to have the equivalent of 3 to 4 grams of fish oil of consumption a day. 3 to 4 grams is quite a bit. This is not micrograms or milligrams. This is really grams. So it is quite a bit. It is quite a bit. And another thing about this, there are different omegas that you'll find. You'll see EPA, DHA, and GLA. What is the difference? You go to the grocery store and you're going to see walls of omegas. EPA is an omega that's kind of an all-around, if I want to simplify this, an all-around omega that we see that'll have health benefits on every level to some extent. DHA, there's a lot of research in DHA, high levels of DHA for neurological health, brain health, peripheral neuropathy, all of this, cognitive issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, to support that form of our nervous tissue. And then GLA is one of the things that you don't hear too much about. Well, you are in the last 5-10 years. GLA is an omega that you will find that's found in fish oil. These are just kind of the major entities. GLA is all about reproductive health. And it is very, very difficult to get one fish oil that has high concentrations of EPA, DHA, and GLA. You will see EPA and DHA, but you're going to have a hard time to find a product that also has GLA. You'll end up having to buy a second bottle of omegas. So what you really want, reproductive health in males and females, everything from prostate health to fertility to infertility to all of that, high levels of GLA, that's their claim to fame. So EPA, DHA, and GLA, you're going to want all 3 of these in any kind of omega that you get, and you're going to want to consume quite a bit of this, 3 to 4 grams a day, spread out over the day, however you do it. Okay. And why are omegas? So think of omegas as the original anti-inflammatory. And if you're ever around the Orient and you see how long people live, significantly due to the amount of omegas they're consuming. So in the fish, but and I'm a fan of just eat lots of saltwater fish. But if we consume this amount of fish, we would probably have mercury problems, mercury poisoning. So unfortunately, we can't consume this much fish without getting toxic. So you kind of need a fish oil. This is one that I like. Now, I'm not going to endorse any one company. I'll just give you some references on these. It's called Omega CO3 SE. So if anybody that I'm working with that's listening to this or watching this, they've heard of Omega CO3 SE, have probably prescribed it. It's from Apex Energetics. I like it because it's one of the only ones that I've seen that had EPA, DHA, and GLA in it. Okay. And at the end of this, I can give you resources where you can actually get these provider supplements. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is a big one. I know vitamin D got a lot of momentum in this world of coronavirus and immune enhancement. Vitamin D is one of those things that we wouldn't need, just like the fish oil, we wouldn't need if we lived back to our primitive selves. Vitamin D, if we lived outside and we had minimal inflammation, we wouldn't need any vitamin D. We'd have enough. But humans have moved. We live inside now. Even the ones that always have outdoor work, we're still inside the majority of our year. And we need a fair bit of vitamin D. So most people, I would say pretty well everybody, needs to supplement at least some vitamin D. We follow with labs, and labs, the numbers you want. So the American Medical Association, they usually run around 25 to 55 or 25 to 70 nanograms per milliliter. That's NGML. That's what they say is sufficient on a lab. By no means is that sufficient. Vitamin D has immune modulating properties, meaning it calms your immune system down in the forms of autoimmunity. It's necessary for mood. It's necessary for skin. It's necessary for hormone function and production. It's necessary to suppress inflammation. There's so much of vitamin D. I really believe we're still scratching the surface of it. For any of my autoimmune patients, what our target is to have them between 75 and 100 nanograms per milliliter. That's what their lab should run, 75 to 100. It's impossible to get that level of vitamin D from just sun tanning or something like that. You have to dose pretty high with this stuff, and max doses without lab testing. If you're not following it, testing it on your own, and I'm going to give you resources. You can test your vitamin D on your own, proper blood tests on your own, not need a doctor. You don't want to go, if you're not monitoring it, you don't want to go over 5,000 international units a day. I think the American Medical Association says 4,000. I'd say 5,000. Okay. But if you're monitoring it, I have people that are, to get those ranges, they're in the ballpark of they're dosing 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 international units a day. So we'll dose high, get them up to those numbers we want, and then we bring them down. There is no standard dose. There is a standard dose for omegas. Everybody is safe with omegas, but there is no standard dose for vitamin D to get that optimal level, because everybody is different on what dose they need of vitamin D to get that 75 to 100. But it is the sweet spot. Okay. But you'll be safe with 5,000 international units a day. This is a product, and vitamin D is vitamin D. There's nothing too fancy about vitamin D, but a reputable source, Zymogen I like, along with many other companies. K2, it's called K2D3 10,000. This is a 10,000 international unit capsule. A lot of supplements, you'd need 15 capsules to get to 10,000 international units. So you only need one. I don't recommend, unless you're following labs, taking this, unless you take it every other day. I should have put on this slide, there's also the same product, but 5,000 international unit capsules. We have those in our office as well. People have it for a maintenance dose. Sometimes people have to do 10,000 for a maintenance dose. The K2 found in here is a game changer. If you have a vitamin D you're consuming that doesn't have K2 versus one with K2, it's a game changer. Your vitamin D levels will go up significantly higher if it has K2. K2 increases the absorption of vitamin D in your body. So the higher quality companies are going to have K2. K2 also has heart protective effects, which I can't get into in cardiovascular. I did a masterclass on cardiovascular health in the past, not that long ago. So that's vitamin D. It's the second staple that I would say. The third one is something that I'm seeing more and more of, that it's a benefit, is some form of a B complex. Don't just consume, biotin or B12 or B9 or B6. Don't just consume just one. That's not the way B vitamins are found in nature and in our diet. It is a conglomerate of them. The reason why I feel and I see a B complex or some B complex variant in the form of a supplement is necessary, because there's B9 and B12. We deplete them with emotional stressors, with physical stressors. We deplete them. We wipe them out of our body, and they're hard to absorb. In fact, B12, there's a reason why many seniors, as we get older, we need B12 injections, because there's just a small spot on the intestine called the cecum. It's a very small part of the intestine where you can absorb B12. When your intestine doesn't work as good as it should, it's had lots of miles, you can lose your ability to absorb B12, and your B12 numbers start to come down. So it's hard to absorb B12. So, don't just take B12, take a B complex. We're trying to mimic what's found in nature. Okay. I like to call it a multivitamin for metabolism, because it's all about brain health, energy, metabolism on every front. And it's very important for your brain. I recommend being safe. There's different types and flavors of these B vitamins, and it can turn into a little bit of a nasty mess out there when you're trying to figure it out. Pursue B vitamins that are methylated. Some people can't handle non-methylated B vitamins, and it's going to say on the bottle, it's going to be methylated, B9, B12, all of that, B6. Make sure they're methylated, because some people have a hard time to absorb B vitamins, and that's due to inability to methylate, and it causes problems. Or if you're listening to this and you've been diagnosed with something called MTHFR mutation, that's a inability to methylate. So you got to be careful with your B vitamins. So don't even buy the other ones. Just get this and you'll be safe, whether you have the problem or don't have the problem. I don't keep non-methylated B vitamins in my office. Labs to look for. Now I'm getting a little more advanced in this. If you're taking high doses of B vitamins, sometimes it can push the liver too hard, and it can artificially elevate something called these liver enzymes, AST, ALT, GGT. I've seen it in my office where we're pushing these metabolic pathways as hard as we can, but we're monitoring it so we can do things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do because we're following with labs. And if you go too high in these B vitamins, sometimes you can artificially elevate liver enzymes. It's the same reason why the supplement world gets a lot of criticism from the medical world, because they say, oh, you're going to create liver failure. Well, I guess it's possible. But it's high doses of B vitamins. Too much will increase these liver enzymes, and it can injure the liver. So you don't want to go too far with this stuff. You want to be careful with it. And these are the ones to test: AST, ALT, GGT. You want to keep them in range. You don't want them high. There's a couple products that I really like. Again, there's a Zymogen product, an Apex Energetic product. Zymogen B Active is just a very, very thorough, comprehensive, methylated B vitamin. And Supermethyl SP, methyl is designed for methylation issues, and it's a great product. I'm using more and more Supermethyl SP in my office for people to maintain their health, maintain their energy, maintain their metabolism. So, there's lots out there. These are just a couple examples. But, out of all the supplements for maintenance, this is it. This is it. If you're eating a healthy diet and your health is good and everything is great, there's really only 3 categories that I see people need to be on. That is it. And that'll keep them there. So the next is more advanced and targeted supplementation. This is getting a little bit deeper into it, but I want to give some feedback as much as I can. So the first thing that you must know the problem when you start pursuing targeted nutrition for blood sugar, for bone health, for fertility, for issues, for even obesity issues, or pain, or digestion. You got to know the problem. If you have high cholesterol and then you're going to pursue supplementation for cardiovascular health, don't just go, okay, this is good for cholesterol. You should find out why you have high cholesterol. If you find out why you have high cholesterol, you can strategically use your supplementation to get to the root of the problem versus just cholesterol. Okay, so find out the problem. That's what we do in our office. That's a big part of what we do. And then supplementation is effective. Extraordinary outcomes are possible with targeted supplementation and when you know the problem. But it does require a lot higher dosages than foundational supplementation, because this is seen now. We're using our supplements as a medicine, not as a maintenance. We're going to hit it hard, we're going to monitor it, and then we're going to get to the outcome. But be careful with this. If you watch this presentation and you're like, okay, I'm taking this on the bottle, I'm going to go much higher because I want more benefits. Be careful. Anything can be a poison if it's in too high of a dose. So a poison, by definition, is dose dependent. Take caution with this. Really, really be careful with this. When I see people, they have a bunch of supplements, or even supplements that we're giving them, and they have them in their cabinet, I make sure they're far away from children, because this can be extremely poisonous, children or adults. Okay, use it as a medicine, not as a maintenance. You shouldn't be using targeted nutrition daily forever. It should be a phase. Use it as a medicine to get out of it. And it does. The best way to pursue targeted supplementation or for targeted issues is having the guidance of a knowledgeable provider, because these things can cause problems. You can do a lot on your own, and I made literally, I think, over 100 videos now, 150 videos. There's lots on my website, actually trying to help guide people through targeted supplementation. So I'll show you that at the end here. It's all free stuff. So a little bit about what we would see as targeted supplementation. So digestive supplementation is a big part of this. That would be a target: detoxification, hormonal, joint, bone, musculoskeletal, cognitive. and memory issues. You can really use targeted supplementation to turn that around. Blood sugar dysregulation. There's many amazing strategies I have on my website that you can knock your blood sugar down drastically. Inflammation. Yeah, the one thing about inflammation supplements designed to curb inflammation, it can also be a foundational maintenance supplement. So that's one thing that I would also put into a foundational category. You should be able to do the majority of it on your own with lifestyle, but you might need a little bit of, you might need some long-term anti-inflammatory supplementation if it's right and it's working. There's a lot on this website, www.drgharrison.com. I have tutorials on all of this stuff. Okay. The next thing, and I'll show you the website here in a little bit. The next thing is when supplementation does not work. Why does the magic pill not work? Well, there's no such thing as a magic pill, for one, but there's reasons why supplementation sometimes does not work. One of the first things is low quality. The majority of supplements out there are low quality products. They really are. They're not regulated. They're not, and I'm not a fan of the FDA. I could rant about the FDA and the problems with it. And the FDA changed since its development. It used to be designed to protect the people. It doesn't do as good of a job on that anymore. There's just too much bureaucracy wrapped around it. But anybody, including my dog, could make a supplement and put it online or put it in a store, and it would be cleared, and anybody could buy it. Anybody. There's nothing. It's minimally regulated, to say the least. In fact, there's a study, and I don't think it's on my website. There was a paper, and it was what was done, and it's been repeated. This study was repeated a few times. What they did is they and it wasn't the FDA, it was an independent organization. They wanted to see, what supplements look like in big block stores. They assessed the supplements. So I think they were picking vitamin D and another nutrient. And they went to these big block stores, and they bought different, samples of these products, different brands in these big block stores. Big block stores. I'm not talking about more of these higher end grocery stores, but the big block stores, the Walmarts and all those guys. And they bought these different bottles of supplements, and vitamin D was the one that they highlighted in the study. And what they were able to find was actually extremely frightening, because they were able to, what they came across, what they identified, that there was as low as 5% of what was in the bottle that what said was in the bottle. That was the label. Less than 5% of what was in the bottle was vitamin D, when it was a vitamin D supplement. It's supposed to be 100% vitamin D. So the FDA, when they got wind of this, it created a lot of chatter in the natural world and regulation. This is a few years back. And again, this study, this research has been done a few times, and they were coming up with 20% of what's in the bottle. That only 20%, as low as 5%, 10%, 50%. And the FDA, when they got wind of this, they were like, we don't want to regulate that. We don't want to, we don't want that work on our hands. Their concern was not that there was only 5%, but what the heck was the rest of the 95% in these bottles? And I think this is something we really got, a study like this, something we really got to be careful about. They're not being regulated. Anything goes. But maybe one of the biggest things that I would be concerned of is these are foods. These are food grade supplements. So if a drug, maybe it's not as bad, but if there's zero quality control, which there is, minimal temperature regulations or temperature climate control, a lot of these supplements are sitting in warehouses in San Diego in the middle of summer, and they're roasting in there. So think of a food, if you had a loaf of bread sitting in a warehouse roasting, it's going to be susceptible to mold and fungus and all sorts of bacteria. So be careful with these things. People get sick from supplements every day, very sick. So be cautious with this. Okay. I think it's very important. So from a safety standpoint, or even an outcome or a quality standpoint, the therapeutic, recommended dose. Another reason why supplementation doesn't work. This is this is number 1 or number 2. I might not have them quite in the order that maybe they should be, but recommended dose is rarely a therapeutic dose. So the reason why the supplement companies do this is say, dose, whatever it says on the bottle, say take 1 daily or take one to 2 times daily. They usually do about half the dose of what's therapeutic. They do this because they don't want any liability. Okay. But you got to push the nutrients as hard as much as you can to have a therapeutic outcome. But so what do? Do we just, we have our bottles at home that we're taking, do we just double the dose? I wouldn't do that either. I'd be careful because everybody has a different tolerance to these things. But, you can experiment with it off the record, even though I think this is recorded. So off the record, you could increase your dose, but be cautious. Be very, very, very cautious. More isn't always better. Always less is usually better. But this is another reason why supplements sometimes don't work, or let's say in many cases don't work. Supplements are not specific enough for the problem. So this is where you get kind of those random, just take this everyday supplement for whatever. You take all these supplements and they're not specific for the root problems to start supporting to working against the root problems of your health issue. And they're more of a bland or a vague supplement. And naturally, they're not going to have an outcome. So be careful with the maintenance supplements forever, and you just take it for everything. And usually what it'll be is there's an advertisement or flyer. You take this for everything. It's going to fix you. It does everything. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be careful with those promises. And if it's not specific enough for the problem, the underlying dysfunction probably hasn't been identified. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of free resources. So if I can do this right, I'm going to share my screen so I can show you the website. I think we can see that. So the website here, this is the front page of our website, some free resources. So there's some little videos, but I want you to take advantage of it because I literally spent months and months and months and months building some of this stuff. There's up in the top right corner here, you'll see free resources. There's health workshops. Take advantage of these. These are 1 hour long presentations where I give a mountain of information on many different topics, immune health. When you click it, you got to register for it, but you'll get an email and a link. And if you have problems accessing any of these, you let us know. Call us. Brain gut connection and the gateway to autoimmunity. If anybody has digestive problems, cognitive problems, or autoimmune issues, this is going to be a game changer. You'll understand how all these things play in. Thyroid, this is probably one of the most popular presentations on the site. Again, I used to do all these live, and then COVID hit. Now we had to make it all automated. Adrenal dysfunction. I talk about the connection between diabetes, insomnia, and Alzheimer's disease. There's a close connection between all of these. Very few people are aware of this connection. Autoimmunity, I see so much in the office. I actually had to make a workshop on it. But there is a solution to autoimmunity. There is many solutions to autoimmunity. Stress hormones and health disorders. There's so much in this topic. So you can understand hormones and what you need to do to correct them, because there's ways. Toxicity, this is a big thing in our toxic world. So take advantage of all of those. And then over here, I really want to, because we are talking about supplementation, over here under free resources, there's the supplement store and education. This is a big one. This one, there's a lot of information in here. I remember when I was talking about targeted nutrients, and targeted supplementation. This is where you're going to get your information. There's no way I could have made a presentation on every health disorder and every supplement strategy, but I have a category on digestive health. There's an intro video, and then there's different products that I use in clinic that you can click it, and then you can order this stuff, but there's videos on how to use it and what to expect. When not to use it is an important thing. SIBO, that's a common digestive issue. Detox, supplementation, and how to use these products and what to expect. Hormonal health supplementation. There's a lot here. Thyroid and joint and anti-inflammatory. And it's not just the supplement, but when to use it, when not to use it. That's so important. Sleep, that's a challenging one, by the way. Energy, heart health, all of that, blood sugar, and general wellness. Look at this. I have a couple things in here. There's vitamin D, there's omegas, and I have this active essentials. This is a good one too. I'm not a major fan of multivitamins. This is more than just a multivitamin. So I guess what I'm saying, take advantage of these resources. And then also supplements are one thing, but you should be following it when you really start pushing supplements, and take advantage of this. This is a lab testing store. You can actually order labs on here without a doctor. It's all automated, and it's a little bit of a navigation to get through here, but you can do it. I talk about different types of panels and stuff like that. So take advantage of it. It's completely free. That's what it's there for. It was actually, I built these pages and spent a lot of money and a lot of time on them. I built these pages for people when we're done working with them. They have resources that they can use on their own. We follow up with their labs so they don't need us. If they need us, we can help. We can help as well. So again, take advantage of that. I'm going to go back to our little presentation here. So back to when supplementation doesn't work and free resources. So hopefully those resources are helpful. There's also another thing, and you'll find this on our website, and it's a podcast I do with my colleague. We have it on YouTube, we have it on Spotify, we have it on all the platforms there are. There's a link right on our website for these. Every week there's a new one that comes out. We talk about, it's called Brainstorming with the Docs for a reason. When we built this podcast and this video cast, I talk about everything. I think we are on 52. We have 52 episodes out right now. When we started it, we really saw that there was a disconnect between patients and doctors. The doctors don't really know what the patients are experiencing, and the patients really don't know what the doctors are experiencing. What happens is there's a divide. True health is when there's a relationship between two. Always, there has to be a team effort. Pharmaceutical medicine is different. The doctor throws a pill at you, and then if it works, good. If it doesn't work, they throw another pill at you. There's minimal of a relationship, and people are not getting the empathy and the communication they need. But there's a disconnect in how the doctors perceive and understand the patients, and how the patients understand the doctors. We're getting more and more people that are clinicians listening and watching our podcast because they're trying to understand patients. Sometimes we're interviewing patients, sometimes we're interviewing other professionals. So highly take advantage of it. It's all free. There's a lot of free resources on it. And then the website, there's over 150 how-to videos. You can access those nutritional products. So yeah, all the products that we talked about, these supplement companies don't just allow us to post all the codes online to access them because they're potent, very potent, and they're doing their due diligence. They all gave me instructions that I could submit the links that people can order. You can just call us. But there's supposed to be a point of contact first. So you can just reach out on the website, send us an email. You can click links on there, and then we'll send you the codes accordingly. So you can access all of them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can access the lab tests, and then there's all those workshops. And I'm going to be adding more as I have more and more time with all of that. So that is kind of a summary of, hopefully you were able to get some understanding of the philosophy that I believe nutritional supplementation should follow. It shouldn't be a dependency model. It should be a model to assist your health. It should be targeted. The majority of supplementation should not be forever, should not be maintenance. There's a couple things, very few things. But to get out of the rut that some people get, they get into health issues over time, it should be more targeted. It should be structured. Otherwise, if it's not done right, it turns into being this big waste of money. And I think that's so important to recognize. And I do know there's quite a bit here. So sometimes people get overwhelmed. They're like, well, I've got X, Y, and Z, and there's more to this than really just taking a vitamin. There are solutions. We can't help. You can always reach out to us. You can schedule a consultation. Consultation is very thorough, and everything we do in our office is thorough. We give people a lot of paperwork to figure out what's going on. I think we're 20 some pages now of paperwork. It's going to take over an hour. But most people have a long health history. If the doctor doesn't know what's going on, they're not going to be able to give you the proper answers or even have the proper approach, especially if people are dealing with something for years, decades. So a consultation is really, that's what it is. It's a 1 hour appointment where we review any past history you have, any past labs, find out what's going on. I allow a full hour for it, whether we need it or not. It's done by video right now, but we got to prepare for it. So I need your paperwork in advance. Usually if people just want to come in for an hour, then there's an hourly rate. That hourly rate is $307, but for initial consultations, we knock it down a lot. That's $97. But at the end of that appointment, there'll be a very, very good understanding of what we need to do, what's going on. It's learning about your case and then laying out a plan. And, sometimes people, they're just looking for guidance on supplementation. So we can work with that as well. So yeah, there's a lot here. Take advantage of the resources. Hopefully I was able to change some minds that have cabinets full of supplementation and they don't know why they're taking them. This is a big deal because it can cause problems. I see supplementation cause problems absolutely every day in my office. And I ask people, well, why are you taking it? And usually they're trying to find a solution to get better. So naturally they're going to take this and then they try it and then they take this and they're going to try it. And I understand people are looking for answers, but supplements can be very powerful. They can be problematic and they have to be done right to save money, to get the outcomes you want. And again, not make the problems worse. So hopefully I was able to enlighten everybody. You don't need much. You just need to target it right. And it can be very, very, very effective. But lifestyle is always before supplementation. Lifestyle is number one. Supplementation is number two. So with that being said, I'm Dr. Glenn Harrison. Thanks for joining. Next month, we're going to have another masterclass. I'm trying to roll one out every month. And there'll be updates and emails and stuff like that. And I turned off all the chat. I think I turned off all of that because I'm just here myself, so I can't speak and answer emails and chats in this video. But feel free to send an email. I'll be more than happy to answer every question I can via email, mostly about the topics we're here today. But yeah, that's on our website. It's all over everywhere. You can send us an email. Also, you can call us. Allegra's pretty fast on the phone. She's been very busy lately, but our number's on the website as well to call. There's only so many things we can answer via phone, via email. Email's probably the easiest though for everybody on our end. So hopefully this was helpful. I look forward to next month, where we're gonna pick another topic. I have a few in line for this. And if there's a topic you want to learn about, please email us. I'll put it into suggestions of what the next topic we'll talk about. So with that being said, thanks for joining us. And I look forward to talking to you next month we're going to talk about another topic for our masterclass. Now have a great night.